Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You got Dick Ritchie here with AOK Product Reviews. Put aside the radio DJ fantasy bullshit for probably ever. That was fun. I always thought it would be cool to be a late night DJ in this dark, eerie radio booth in the middle of the night at 2:30 a.m. in the morning in some radio shack out in the middle of nowhere, talking about nothing but stupid things. That's a dream, one of my dreams, if I could be what I wanted to be. You know, and I am what I want to be. I've said that before all the time. If I get a hankering to do something, I might do it. I'll probably do it. You never know. Carrying the Gerber straight lace quite a bit these days. This is a really nice gift from my buddy Beef, and I just carry it all the time. I learned the other day when I tried to use that Ozark Trail piece of garbage knife on opening a box. Couldn't even open a box with it properly. Pulled this out, razor. Today's a good day. It's Friday, and I'm going to share a little bit of conversation about the Satchel of 8. In case any of you subscribers still aren't familiar with the fact that I keep 8 of my favorite knives in this little canvas satchel, and I rotate them out. Whenever I get a knife in that's awesome, it rotates other knives out. So today is going to be one of those days. You ready? Because I've got a QSP, I'm going to slaughter the name of it, whatever, but I think it's the QSP Grebe. Grebe, I believe. Let's check it out. Okay, so I'm a big fan of QSP. Quality Service Products is its acronym. Yeah, I like acronyms too. I was in the military, so I'll use acronyms on occasion. Now, QSP, I've never bought a bad QSP knife. Now, I did have a QSP that I didn't love. It was the Parrot. It was just a very simple knife. There was nothing special about it. It was just a drop point knife with denim micarta and D2 steel, and it wasn't huge and it didn't have great action, but it wasn't bad. It was a great pocket knife and it was cheap. Love the Penguin. I had a D2 denim Penguin. Then I had a subscriber, I believe it was Dwayne Letterman. Good old Dwayne said, "Hey man, you want to check it? If you liked your Penguin," because I had given it away. If you really liked your Penguin, there's a really good one with Damascus scales and S35 VN steel on sale at Blade HQ, and that was like last year sometime. And I jumped on it. It was like $65. It was awesome because I love S35 VN steel. I haven't really had to sharpen it much because it holds an edge so great, but I am dreading that day I got to sharpen it because I think the stones I have aren't going to work, and I may have to buy like diamond stones or something to sharpen it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these aren't very big knives, but they've got action like big knives. You know, look at that drop. Just great knife. Flies open. No assist or anything like that on this thing. Great knife. That's in my satchel. That's the only other QSP knife I have in my satchel. We'll talk about the rest of the knives in the satchel in a minute. I want to talk about the QSP Grebe. Now, I know I'm saying that name wrong. Now, QSP always offers like a business card for their knife, and it has all the information that they need to know about their knife. Dimensions, blade material, scale material, all that. Hardware, you name it. They always put that card in. Now, let's take a look at this bad boy. Look at this pony. I'm going to stand up for this. Nice casing, nice box. But these scales are a black polymer, a camo polymer. So they have this transparency to them, an opaque transparency. Yeah, that's an oxymoron. I get it. But it has that on the corners here where the camo's lighter. You can see they look like camouflage glass, but they're a resin polymer kind of thing. Now, I like this style pocket clip. You got the 2 holes so you can go into the hardware to take the clip off. Now, it's got thumb studs, jimping, nice flipper right here. Great lanyard space, hole, whatever you want to call it, and barrel spacers. So it's hollow all the way through. And yes, it has a button lock. Look at that Tanto blade, guys. So this is a CPM S35 VN steel. It's got this Tanto, obviously it's a dual grind on the Tanto, and then it kind of does a little bit of a drop here on the spine. So let's call it a drop Tanto. What the hell? Button lock. Okay, so this knife just feels rich in the hand. Now this is regularly $180 some on Blade HQ. Today, it's $144. I think that's a pretty good deal. I think this is definitely a great knife, and it's going in the satchel just because. The strange thing about me is I'm not great with thumb studs. Because the thing about thumb studs is they're a little confusing for some people. A lot in my head, I want to push them out, but really the trick is to push them up like that versus out. But in my head, I can't get past the fact that I want to try to flip it out. So when you flip it out, you're really fighting the geometry and the physics of the torque on the pivot and the thumb stud and the blade. You're fighting it. You're going against it. This is the QSP Grebe. I think it's an awesome knife. $144. You know, is that expensive? It could be for some people. Definitely. It would be expensive for me. I got even a better deal than that on this knife, but I think it's great. This QSP is not going to go back in this box. Really nice box. It's going in the satchel. So what knife is it going to kick out of the satchel? Now I've got a couple knives in here kind of temporarily holding spaces in the satchel. So this is going to be easy because typically I've got really top-notch knives in here. Last year I gave away 2 or 3 of the knives out of my satchel. One of them being a ProTech Godson. It was a TRM Atom or a Neutron 2, I can't remember. In the meantime, the Kershaw Highball, which I really like. Who knows what I'd do with a really, really nice Kershaw in my hand. And the Petrified Fish Loco in here right now. And they're not meant to be in here, to be honest with you. I'm going to put a very good Petrified Fish knife in the satchel. My goal before the end of the year is to have a different name brand, top tier knife in every slot out of 8 manufacturers. That's my goal. I'm leaving the Highball in because right now, this Highball is my favorite Kershaw knife I've ever handled. I love it. But let's go down the line. The first knife in my satchel that's not going anywhere, and when this knife was punching out the sale rack and I jumped on it. And when it's time to give this knife away, it's going to be going to my buddy Dwayne. So there's that knife. The next knife will never go away. It'll never leave the satchel, and it'll never go away because this knife was given to me. It was a gift. I don't give away gifts. And if I did, it was probably like a really cheap knife that somebody just said, hey, take this knife, review it, and do whatever you want with it. So there's the Rosecraft blade, the Clinch River Swayback. Look at that Warncliffe. Look at that finger choil. Look at these bone handles. Look at the swayback. The swayback. Yeah. This knife is I'm going out to dinner this weekend to a really nice restaurant in Indianapolis. And I'm going to be carrying this knife, mostly carrying this knife. This is what I call a Sunday go meeting knife. This is a steak dinner knife. I told you I have 3 Kaisers in here, but this is a mini sheepdog. This is in here. It's definitely what I consider a cool little knife. Only problem with this knife that I have is it's too small. It's really small, and when I go to flip this, that blade hits my hand. And it's kind of a sharp tip. So I don't think that's very safe. I don't think it's cool, but I like the knife. I like it. So it's in the satchel. It'll be in there for a little while, but I can see it getting kicked out. Now this knife has been in the satchel all year last year. It's the Kaiser Assassin. Great action, button lock, linen micarta. I put a Timascus titanium pocket clip on the knife. Really good lanyard. I like the blade style. It's a really cool knife. I like this knife. I don't see this knife leaving the satchel either, because this is probably just going to always be a favorite knife of mine. Of course, now I've got the QSP Grebe in here. I just put that right next to that knife, and it's going to be in there a while, I can tell. This is a cool knife. Next, let's go to the Devo V1 Growler. Now, this knife was designed by Kevin at Lefty EDC. If anybody knows knife ergonomics and knife action, it's going to be Kevin. I'll give him that. You know, the guy gets his hands on some expensive knives. I think that does something to people. It does something to knife reviewers. It kind of makes them it's kind of like if you get famous and you lose touch with reality. You lose touch with your viewers. And I'm not saying he was there, but man, he's starting to handle some really, really high-end knives. And I think that could make you kind of drift away from your core. But this knife is on skiffs. It's just awesome. The bearings, the action, the fit, the finish, the ergonomics of the knife are incredible. Kevin did a great job on this knife, and I'm excited to see the other knives in this collection. Lefty EDC, I'm sticking around because that son of a gun can make a knife. He can design a knife. Let's look at the Kershaw Highball. Now, that's a Kershaw knife. No assist, no nothing. No thumb stud, no flipper, just a little rail on this blade. Anodized aluminum on the hardwares, on the pivot, on this plate right here. I call that a detent plate, but I don't think it is. This knife, I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I'm getting excited about Kershaw this year. I really am. I think this is the year Kershaw is going to step out. Whatever. Now I got the Kaiser Vanguard. This is a double detent knife. It's got a detent high, detent low, whatever you want to call it. It's like a slip joint, but it's not. Let's check the detent out. Yeah, it's got a little snappy detent down here at the bottom. Right there. So there's a detent there. And there's a detent there. It looks like it has a Scandi grind. I like this knife. The only problem, I don't like the scales. Scales look like bacon strips. Yeah, fake pieces of bacon. Yeah, I don't like that. But this doesn't have a lock. It just has that detent at the top and at the bottom. Reversible pocket clip. Little back spacer that's micarta, like the handle that's bacon. It looks like T8 on the pivot. I can't remember the blade steel, so that'll be up here. I think it's got pretty good blade steel, probably 154 CPM, 154. We'll see. But there you have it. This is the satchel. The QSP just went in there, and I think I'll probably be pushing out the Kershaw Highball or the Kaiser Sheepdog, maybe with a Sencut, maybe with a Civivi. Probably with a Wii, because this is the year of the Wii. I will be buying a Wii knife, even if it's the outdated banner, Wii banner. I don't know. There you have it. Little update on the satchel. Little update on just all that's good here at AOK Product Reviews.